itinerary changes, guaranteed cabins, and travel documentation. Those are the comments we're going to be talking about this week. Good Saturday morning, everybody. Chris here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to this week's episode of What Every Cruiser Wants. And we're going to be doing something a little bit different this week. Yes, we have 3 comments for you. Yes, we are going to be reading those comments, seeing what these folks have to say. But you can kind of tell these comments, they come from new cruisers. People that are not familiar with cruising know how cruising works, and they made some mistakes. They made some assumptions that they thought were right, but that's not how it works when it comes to cruising, and you can tell from their comments. So if you are new to cruising, fixing to take your very first cruise, well, hopefully this information will be helpful to you. We'll let you know some of the things you can expect, some of the misconceptions when it comes to cruising, give you a little info into how cruising works. So let's get into today's comments. Now, first up today, we're going to talk about itinerary changes. Nobody really likes itinerary changes. You book a cruise hoping it's going to go to a specific cruise port, the one cruise port you want to go to, but something has happened. Now, this could be a weather-related problem. Weather was bad, couldn't dock there. Could be a port congestion issue. Sometimes that happens. They've overbooked the port. Could be a mechanical issue with the ship. There are all kinds of reasons as to why a cruise ship may have to skip a port. And it sucks. Nobody likes it. Completely get where that would be disappointing and make you go, man, this is what I was really looking forward to. But it does happen, and it also says in the cruise contract, this can happen. Cruise lines have the right to change ports and make itinerary changes as operationally required. But if you are a first-time cruiser going on your very first cruise, you're going to book your itinerary. It's going to A, B, and C, and then you find out it's not going to go to B. Now you're upset. Now you're unhappy. Now you're calling the cruise lines, demanding they fix this situation when apparently you didn't know that this could happen to you. And when you don't know it can happen to you, you write in a comment. Supposed to be cruising out of blank to blank in July of 2025. Unfortunately, a port that we were really looking forward to stopping at for the day was taken away from our itinerary and not replaced. We are just at sea longer. This is my fiance's and I's first cruise, and it's the day after our wedding. So we called and addressed our complaints. Unfortunately, blank is not offering any discounts on our trip, no credits, nothing. Our entire family booked this trip, about 20 of us, and we are all upset. After being put on hold for 30 minutes, there was nothing that could be done. Poor customer service. So again, while it sucks and you may not like it and you may agree or disagree with it, this is something cruise lines can do. It's in the contract. It's in the contract that you signed and agreed to when you booked this cruise. So yeah, you can call, you can complain, you could say poor customer service because they wouldn't fix it for you. They can't fix it for you. Now, while some cruise lines on some cruises, based on itineraries and all kinds of other stuff, may offer some sort of compensation, but they don't have to. If they offer you compensation, it's at the cruise line's choice. It's at the cruise line's discretion. They just aren't required to give you anything. So calling them and complaining is not going to get you a discount. It's not going to get you credit. And is it really poor service when you're calling a representative, a customer service representative for the cruise line? They can't fix the itinerary. They can't make a major decision for the cruise line. They're letting you know, hey, this has been changed. This is what is being offered. This is all we can do. They could cancel your cruise. They could book you to another cruise, may cost you a little bit more money, but really their hands are tied. And if you're at sea for another day, they didn't replace your port stop, that generally means that there are no available ports in the area. But as you can see, this is their first cruise ever. And they clearly did not read, did not understand the cruise contract and the fact that your itinerary may change on your cruise, whether you like it or not. Guaranteed cabins. Now, for those that are new to cruising, guaranteed cabin means you simply are agreeing to say, I want to stay in a balcony cabin, and the cruise line, they're gonna pick your cabin for you. Basically what happens is after everybody who wants to choose their cabin picks their cabin, those that have guaranteed cabins get what is left over. Now, sometimes you get really lucky. You get you get a great cabin. Sometimes you don't. You get what's left over. Now, for today's comment, this is specifically about a Royal Caribbean class ship, an Oasis type cruise ship, which has different types of balcony cabins. You could have an ocean view balcony cabin. You could have an interior balcony cabin, some that look to the inside of the ship, say over Central Park, something like that. They don't have ocean views, but they are still balcony cabins. So if you book a guaranteed cabin on, say, a Royal Caribbean Oasis class ship, you're guaranteed you're going to get a balcony, but not guaranteed that your balcony will be looking at the ocean. So if you're looking for a specific type cabin with a very specific view, well, that's what you need to book. If you leave it up to the cruise lines, you're gonna get what you get. And if you didn't research ahead, you didn't check, you didn't know exactly what type of cabins were available on that ship, you could get one you don't like. And that's what happened to this person. I booked a cruise with a guaranteed balcony view. In the picture, it shows the ocean. They sent me an email saying it's a neighborhood view, no ocean view. I called to ask them to correct it because that's false advertisement. They refused and said I would have to pay more for the ocean view. I asked them to refund my money and was told I would be penalized for it. So another example of someone who did no checking ahead of time, no research, and no understanding of how cruises are booked and what they were booking. They picked a guaranteed balcony cabin, but they looked at a picture that showed the ocean. But nowhere on it does it say that a guaranteed balcony is an ocean view, that it's a guaranteed balcony, and they ended up with a neighborhood, an interior facing balcony, and now they're not happy. They're gonna claim that's false advertising. Well, it's not false advertising because they said you would be guaranteed a balcony and they got a balcony. Nothing false about that. This person didn't look and see what type of balconies were possible on that ship. You gotta remember, different types of cruise ships, different types of views. You gotta know what you're booking. So of course, when they called in and they wanted to change their room from a neighborhood view to an ocean view, now it is going to cost them some more money. And when that didn't work, they said, give me a refund, but then they were told it was going to be penalized. Why? Because chances are that that guaranteed balcony cabin they booked was a non-refundable deposit. So of course, there is going to be a penalty. They're going to not refund the deposit. A lot of guaranteed cabins are non-refundable deposits. Why? Because they're one of the cheapest rates you can get. So again, this is why if you are a new cruiser, you've got to read. You've got to pay attention to what you book. You've got to look at the type of cabin you book and the rate you are booking. What are you going to actually get? What are the chances of what you're going to get for what you are selecting? If you want a specific cabin in a specific spot with a specific view, then you need to book that cabin, not let the cruise line pick it for you. Because at the end of the day, they gave you exactly what you booked. And when you didn't like it, they wouldn't give your money back because again, you booked exactly what you booked. And these are the consequences. And finally, proper cruise documentation. Cannot stress this one enough because right here, improper documentation when it is embarkation day will 100% ruin your vacation each and every time. You have to know what is required to get on board that ship. Whether you are traveling by a passport, whether you are traveling by a birth certificate and a picture ID, or perhaps you have some other requirement based on your citizenship, it is up to you as the cruise passenger to go read and know what is required to board that ship. The cruise line does not have a say in what works and doesn't work. That is customs. That is set by the government of what documentation is required. So it is your responsibility as a passenger to know what you have to have. So if you show up at embarkation day and you don't have the proper paperwork to board that cruise ship, that is on you. You can't get mad at the cruise line for you not having the right documentation. You can't get mad at the cruise line because you brought the wrong thing. They have to follow the rules, and so do you. And so even if you're mad at them, you can scream, poor customer service, horrible customer service. At the end of the day, wrong documentation, you're not embarking on the ship, and this person found that out. This was a horrible experience. I flew to Florida, and they denied my documents to board. I bought this service for vacation and did not even have vacation. The cruise was $1,642, and after travel and hotel expenses, I was out $3,500 and did not even have a vacation. I will never purchase a cruise through Royal Caribbean again. Customer service was horrible. Never again. I will go through Carnival next time. Horrible experience. Well, I really hate to break it to this person that it doesn't matter what cruise line you book. You can say Royal Caribbean horrible. Next time I'm going to go book with Carnival. Show up with the wrong documentation again, and you're still not going to board the ship. It's not Royal Caribbean's fault. You were not prepared. And if you showed up the exact same way for another cruise line, you're still not going to get on board that cruise ship. It's not an option. It's not a choice. It's not a, oops, I brought the wrong thing. Next time I'll get it right. It's not how it works. But of course, you know, they have to blame it on the cruise line. I didn't make sure I had the correct documentation. I got all the way to the ship, didn't have the right stuff. They would not let me on. That is horrible customer experience. Explain to me. Help me out. How is that the cruise line's fault? How are they responsible that you did not show up prepared? If you have a cruise coming up and you've never been on a cruise before, make sure your documentation is straight. Make sure your documentation is in your hand, in your carry-on when you get to that cruise terminal. Don't be one of these people that has to write in a comment later blaming the cruise line because you either had the wrong documentation or you didn't have it in your hand. Don't be that person. And that's going to be our video today for what every cruiser wants. A little bit different than what we normally do. A little less funny, a little more cruise tippy, some facts, some information, some comments from first-time cruisers, ones that have made some cruising mistakes that are easily corrected. A little bit of reading, a little bit of research, a little bit of checking with experienced cruisers, reaching out to the cruise lines ahead of time. Make sure your stuff is straight. Make sure you know. Make sure you understand. Make sure you know exactly what you are booking so you can get out there, get into the cruising experience, enjoy your cruise vacation, and get hooked on cruising like the millions of us that already are. So hopefully today's video helps a couple of y'all out. Now, if you've enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you haven't done so yet, do me a favor and hit subscribe. It is free to do so. Helps our channel grow. Let you know anytime we put out a new video. Hope everyone out there is having a really great day and a really great weekend. And like always, we will see you out on the high seas.